So hi there. Thank you very much for checking out my videos here on YouTube. I'm going through the process of doing Turo, basically a first-time host, trying to get an idea what's out there and how the Turo system works and kind of the little hiccups and things you come across as you're doing it for the first time. What I've found that in Canada, finding any information about Turo is pretty restrictive. There's not a lot out there in the way of hosts really saying this is the steps and this is the money we make and this is the downfall or this is the advantage. So I've got this new car that I've picked up. So I have an Outlander right now, and that's the first one I put on. I'm running about 8 weeks on it. And so far it's gone out for about 17 or 18 days. So I figured that's a pretty good response off that vehicle. Being a first time with very little reviews, I'm pretty happy with that. So I went out and, well, not really. I didn't go out in it with the intention of buying another car, but I'm always searching on Kijiji and I'm always looking around, and another car came up and it was a really good deal, essentially. I thought, okay, it's not the car I'm looking for, it's not the brand, it's not the make, but it's a good price on that car, and it came with service records, and it seems to be a solid little vehicle. Like, it needs a little bit of work, but nothing major. So I thought, okay, well, I'll pick it up. I was going to wait 6 months and see how this Outlander was going to work out, and then look at doing another vehicle or dropping Turo completely and saying, okay, it doesn't work. So far, the last 8 weeks, the first 30 days was kind of a little limiting, I'll be honest with you. But over the 8 weeks, it's been okay. Like, it hasn't been a big hurdle in that regards. Up to this point. So this is where it gets to be a little frustrating. So I called my insurance company up to put this new car on my policy. Now I have a car that I drive. I have a nice little Jag, which we are in right now, that I actually barely drive. It's one of those things where I work about two blocks away from where I'm at. I don't travel that much, so kilometers wise, I just don't do it, right? I bought the Outlander with the idea of doing Turo. Plus it was one of those vehicles that I thought, well, I had to replace a PT Cruiser that had a second vehicle. I like to get something that's all-wheel drive for the winter. Again, it's just something that it's been on my hit list since I worked at Mitsubishi. I like those particular cars. So I thought one came up. I knew the vehicle. I knew the background. I thought properly serviced, so I snapped it up. I thought, okay, we'll offset that by running it through Turo. So I picked up this nice little 2014 Chevy Cruze. It's kind of midline model, nothing too fancy. It's got air conditioning, automatic, kind of your standard car, windows, locks, nothing exotic by any stretch of the imagination. So I called my insurance company up. Well, I didn't call. I sent an email out last week on a Wednesday. I didn't get a response back till the Friday. And I said, hey, I'd like to add this to the policy. And I'd like this to basically mirror what my Outlander is. Same type of coverage. And lo and behold, the insurance has gone up dramatically. So they originally quoted me $250 for the next 4 months based on like 70% usage. And anyways, but I call up their line to kind of confirm a few things, and it's up to about 430, 415, and around that range. And I'm going, well, I understand things are going up. I get that, like, understandable. Like, this is a sizable jump from the original quote, and now it's a secondary quote that's just ridiculous. So again, it's a cheap car to insure, like, overall, but it's one of those things where I look at it and kind of go, I'm dealing with economical. My personal insurance is through economical. The reason why I did that is because economical is the insurer for Turo. So I thought, okay, well, this should be a pretty straight integration, whereas there shouldn't be anything that complicated. It should pretty much go like, boom, you're both the same company. Like, literally, like, you are economical. But the broker has told me that essentially, if I go past 3 cars, I need to get commercial insurance. Now, on the website, when I'm looking at Turo, they don't mention that, right? So I'm looking at other hosts that have 5 or maybe 10 cars in the GTA. Seems to be pretty normal. And I'm wondering, are they running commercial policy? And if they are, why are they using Turo? Right? It's a valid question. So if you've got to put together a commercial policy as to get your cars out, Well, that's an expensive proposition right there. And the only reason why I wanted to do Turo was because it's a nice way of offsetting it. Saying, okay, well, yes, I will buy the insurance that I'm using for my car, and Turo covers the remainder. Makes sense. But I'm being told something completely different from my insurance company, even though it is economical. So it's one of those things where I look at it and kind of go, either the broker doesn't understand the process or doesn't understand the program, or either economical doesn't really, it's frustrating because there isn't really an answer. So I sent off an email to Turo, which is through their chatbot system. So they don't actually have an email address. You have to put it through their system. So I'm hoping that I get a response today about it and say, okay, well, this is it. That's the nature of it. You pay that kind of money, and I scratched my head and went, wow. It's at this point I'm looking and going, well, if I have to pay $400 in insurance, how much do I need to rent my Outlander for now? Because there's going to be an adjustment. And they weren't clear on what the adjustment was. It was kind of like, oh yeah, it'll come, and we'll send you a bill. It's like, no, I need to know the numbers. Like, this just comes down to a change in the insurance industry in Ontario. And it's gone way from customer focused to automation. It's really sad. Like, I'm looking at a broker that I've been with for 20 years. It was one of the original broker I actually used when I first came into Ontario. Like, we're talking a long time. And I'm a stable customer. I'm the guy that pays the bill regularly. Never been in an accident, no collisions, no issues from that standpoint. Like, I'm kind of the bread and butter guy that you kind of want. And now I'm looking at going, well, now do I need to change brokers? Because you don't provide prompt service. When you do provide service, it's contrary to the quote you already gave. When you do backtrack and you say, oh no, we made some mistakes in the past, you don't own them. You don't say, yeah. No, you throw the other person under the bus. I find that very frustrating in a service-oriented industry, where you kind of go, oh, well, no, this broker is right that's talking to you right now, but the broker that you talked to 4 months ago was fundamentally wrong. And I'm going, well, that broker was the broker that replaced the broker that was replaced by the broker that was replaced by the broker, because you don't have any brokers. Right? That's the underlying issue. You don't have any real staffing. And it's frustrating from a consumer standpoint. And as a regulatory body, like, if you were out there, I'm going to do a little research on that myself. Is a chatbot a broker? Is AI authorized to be a broker? Because that seems to be what my broker is using, at least from my standpoint. I love technology. I use AI myself. You might look at my wonderful little writings down below. Guess what? I run it through AI. It proofs my work, makes sure everything is fine. It does a bunch of things for me when it comes to doing up cars. I just find it very helpful. But I don't build my entire business around it. Just something to my rant of the day. So I'm off to the Ministry of Ontario, Ontario Services, to go ahead and change the ownership over, pay my taxes, get a set of plates, and I'm going to get a set of temporary plates. They're good for, I think, 10 business days. Then we get the fun and the thrill of getting it safetied and inspected and going from there. So that's my little rant of today's activities on getting a car onto Turo. So my advice on this one would be, if you're with economical and you make the assumption that economical is going to be helpful or beneficial when you go to Turo, I'm going to say I wouldn't bet on that. So it's one of those things where the wonderful little logo on the website and the little pitch that they give you, I don't think is entirely accurate. So it's one of those things where I'm probably going to pay a couple $100 extra on my insurance, probably more than that, when it's all said and done when it comes to renewal time. So I'm thinking it's 30 to 40% on my personal insurance. So if you're looking at it from a standpoint of, do I want to do Turo because it's a little side hustle and something I can kind of make a little money on my car, that hurdle is going to hurt you a little bit. So again, something to think about. And again, I'm doing this for 6 months to see the advantages and the negatives. And so far, the insurance end of it seems to be a big negative. So again, we'll see what Turo has to say in that regards, but I'm reading what's on their website isn't very clear. and my broker isn't very effective or very helpful. And again, I've bumped up to like a manager, or had a conversation with them, and again, they really didn't know anything about Turo either. It's one of those things where I look at it and kind of go, if you're in that business and you claim initially that you're familiar with it by the first broker, which is way back, and she seemed to be very knowledgeable with it. She was very helpful. In fact, she helped me walk right through the Outlander purchase. She even helped out with insurance quotes prior to me getting the vehicle. And she even said, yeah, that's a good vehicle to go with. It's got a good safety rating. It's good class. This is the price point on it. Very, very informative. And I thought she was amazing. And the one prior to that was pretty decent too. So it's just recently in the last 8 weeks that I found that they've just gone to pot. So if you're out there and you're a consumer and you're doing your insurance, and maybe it's not just me, maybe it's right across the board. I don't deserve to rant about it. It's just, it is what it is in today's marketplace, with everything changing, with all the prices changing, with the change in the Canadian dollar, the change in regulatory issues with insurance. Because I know they're going to usage-based insurance now. They were really pushing that, and I'm going, well, why would I do that? Like, why? I have a policy in place. I just want the standard policy I've always had. I understand things change, and the world is kind of just moving along. But is this an improvement? Again, I'd love to get your comments. Is it right up there with like legal fees with lawyers? Is it right up there with real estate agents and car salesmen? Is the insurance industry just that bad now? So again, I don't want to hear all negatives. So if you tell me, because I'd love this, if you said, hey Keith, you know what? I know where you're at. I've been there. It's frustrating. I'm with Turo as well. This is the broker that I deal with, and they are the bomb, like the best. You should call such and such. Or, hey, you know what? I understand completely where you're coming from. This is the broker that Turo uses. So this is the guy that they use. Maybe I should be calling them for insurance or talking to them directly. Like, that would be great. So if you're out there running a car and you're saying to yourself, I've been doing this for 2-3 years, because I notice out there's a lot of hosts out there that have 3, 4, 5 years, 25 to 140 guests going through a car. Like, clearly there's some volume going on with it. And I thought to myself, I don't need that kind of numbers, but maybe there's a shortcut or a better way of doing it. So if you've got that information or a link, by all means, provide it. I'd love it. You know, it's one of those things where I'm trying my best. I'm new at it. So again, that's my rant today. And again, I try to keep these things under 30 minutes. And kind of these little updates, I try and keep around the 15-minute mark, if that. So, got my bill of sale. I'm done with the rant for insurance. I feel like an old guy telling people to get off my grass. Things cost too much money. Go away. I feel like I'm that guy. I don't want to be that guy, incidentally, but I'm feeling that, which is unfortunate. So I've got my bill of sale, which is great. So I'm going to take that down. It's all signed. I've got my ownership, which is wonderful. That's what I'm going to need. I brought along all the paperwork for the work that was done. I don't need that for that. So that's essentially it. I got a shot of my pink slip on my phone. So that should be pretty straightforward. And we'll see what the taxes are. And we'll talk a little later. Okay? Thank you very much. Have a pleasant and enjoyable day.